What do you think it was?
Well, it was definitely what happened last year between Caitlin Clark and, Andrew Reese. It was, talked about and would have liked to seen that rematch in time. But Caitlin Clark is a special player.
Bro, a pretty girl dunking on the rim, I'm watching that all the time. You laughing.
A man is not turned on by no woman that's dunking.
It ain't about being turned on. It's about seeing stuff that you're not supposed to see.
Oh, my God. What you mean not supposed to see? There's women that can dunk, though.
Why you think people love Caitlin Clark besides her skills?
She can shoot threes from logo.
We never seen that before. That's my point. Steph Curry, a little kid. Like Steph Curry, I love. You know why I love Steph Curry? Because I've never seen that before.
In an unexpected turn of events, Angel Reese found herself at the center of a heated debate when none other than NBA great Shaquille O'Neal appeared to dismiss her views on her podcast. The news has startled fans, with many asking how things progressed so swiftly between these two well-known sports celebrities. But what exactly led up to this point, and what does it signify for Reese's future in basketball?
Apparently you are.
Yeah, but she's incredible. Congratulations to her and her family. Yeah. The crazy thing is I'm just seeing her last year when they played LSU, but she's phenomenal.
Before we get into the specifics, be sure you subscribe so you don't miss any updates on this topic or other popular sports dramas. Let's dig right in. To fully comprehend the significance of what occurred, we must first examine Angel Reese and her rise in women's basketball. Reese, known for her ferocious competition and outspoken demeanor, has rapidly established herself as a WNBA fan favorite and a voice for the future generation of players. Her abilities on the court, along with her attitude off it, have garnered her respect and fame, but they have also made her a divisive figure in certain quarters.
You've mentioned it all evening long, though. It's just been so hard for New York to get stops. Chicago again, and one opportunity, Angel Reese.
In recent years, Reese has used her rising notoriety to extend into other areas, including the development of her podcast. She's utilized this platform to open up about the trials and joys of being a female athlete, talk about social concerns, and even host some high-profile guests, like basketball star Shaquille O'Neal. The podcast was meant to be a casual talk, but things took a dramatic turn when Shaq abruptly clashed with Reese on an issue she was passionate about.
Gets her once, she's gonna stay with it. Oh, mean bucket it! Body bucket and one for Angel.
Prior to Shaq's guest visit, Reese had made headlines with strong pronouncements regarding the WNBA and its role in the greater sports world. As a staunch champion for equality and representation, she has often highlighted disparities in compensation, viewership, and support compared to male athletes. Many fans and players share her ideas, but they have also sparked criticism from some who feel she is pushing too hard and too quickly.
Now for myself, I mean, I have great teammates. I have a great support system. I got my hometown. I got my family that stands up for me.
When Shaq agreed to come on her show, Reese viewed it as a chance to explore these topics with someone who had been through the highs and lows of professional basketball in the NBA. Her purpose was to give thoughts on how the WNBA may improve, while also learning from Shaq's own NBA experiences.
And I just try to stand strong. I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times. Death threats, I've been sexualized,
Shaquille O'Neal, or Shaq as he is often called, has long been a prominent figure in basketball and sports journalism. He is well known not just for his NBA successes, but also for his outgoing demeanor and frank thoughts. Since retiring, Shaq has remained a significant voice in sports commentary, noted for his sense of humor and no-nonsense approach to exposing the facts of the game. Shaq has always supported female players and shown his respect for the WNBA. However, he is realistic about the league's issues. Shaq believes that economic reasons, market needs, and long-term investments heavily influence the WNBA's development. He understands Reese's need for speedy change, but his approach is more methodical and careful. When the podcast discussions switched to the WNBA's future, these disparities in vision were apparent in ways neither Reese nor Shaq could have predicted. As the podcast episode started, Reese and Shaq had casual banter. They spoke about some lighter issues before transitioning into a discourse that both fans and listeners anticipated to be intelligent and uplifting. However, when Reese discussed her vision for the WNBA's future and the possibility of urgent adjustments, she voiced strong sentiments about the need for more salary, improved exposure, and greater backing from sponsors and media sources.
Like, bro, if your salary don't pay your rent, That's you.
Let's clock that, because that's the problem is the WNBA not paying enough. And you're right.
But hold on. There's a whole dynamic.
Shaq first listened quietly, accepting her views and admiring her enthusiasm. However, as Reese continued to advocate for a more aggressive approach to these adjustments, Shaq started to give a counterpoint. He indicated that although he supported her goal, he felt the WNBA's route to success would be slow, requiring patience, intelligent investments, and maybe longer time than Reese suggested.
The fans have to do the same thing they do for the NBA.
Right.
You got to show support. You got to show up. You got to buy jerseys. You got to buy shoes. You got to do that. They're starting to do that now. And that's because of, how you played and Caitlin, the thing you had, that the game is more popular than ever now.
The tension began to rise as Shaq softly but forcefully disagreed with Reese's assessment of how soon the WNBA could attain key milestones. Reese, who was adamant about her convictions, resisted Shaq's suggestion, claiming that waiting too long or being excessively careful may potentially stymie the advancement of women's basketball. She believed that the WNBA required decisive actions immediately to avoid falling behind indefinitely.
And that's because of, how you played and Caitlin, the thing you had, that the game is more popular than ever now. I do agree with you. Y'all do need to get paid more.
Yeah.
No reason why some of these bums making $200 million and y'all making what y'all making. I agree with that.
Shaq responded calmly but bluntly. He emphasized that although ambition is important, developing a league's audience and income sources cannot be hurried. According to Shaq, patience and sustainability were crucial to the NBA's success, and he believes the WNBA should take a similar path, even if it means slower advancement. Shaq's statements clearly caught Reese off guard. She hadn't expected him to push back that hard, particularly on a stage where she was the host. The argument swiftly escalated into a collision of values, with Reese defending the immediacy of her method and Shaq pushing for consistent, long-term growth.
Y'all just have to continue to play and, continue to do what you do. But I have a solution for that, and nobody's going to like my solution.
I'm here.
Feeling upset, Reese opposed Shaq's point of view, pointing out that the NBA had several advantages over the WNBA, such as greater financing, media attention, and historical backing. She contended that these variables provided the NBA an unfair advantage and that expecting the WNBA to follow the same development trajectory was unrealistic.
Let me explain why I came up with this solution first. In women's beach volleyball, let's just say that the net is 10. For women, it's lower just a little bit. I'm not saying lower it to 9, 5, 9, 6, but just...
Shaq refused to back down, stating that any serious advancement for the WNBA would still take time and smart preparation. He understood Reese's concerns, but maintained that attempting to impose reforms too rapidly may backfire, resulting in financial instability or other unexpected issues. At this time, Reese was noticeably irritated, her body language indicating her displeasure with Shaq's reaction. She thought that his viewpoint did not adequately account for the urgency she felt as a current player who was immediately affected by the WNBA's slower rate of growth.
9-9.
Just so we can dunk?
Yes.
No.
No, see? And
I hate when men say that.
But listen, that's the only difference.
We start dunking, then what?
Watch. We got shooters. Y'all got shooters. Oh, guys got some handles. Girls got some handles. Oh, we got this. We got that. Oh, we got talkers. Oh, we got brawls. Only thing is missing is the dunk.
I don't feel like it still would change.
I'm telling you.
I don't think
what?
so.
Bro, you dunking and getting... Man, trust me, it'll change. Trust me, it'll change. I'm telling you right.
So.
Bro.
As word of the podcast conversation spread, followers on social media swiftly responded with their thoughts. Some agreed with Reese, applauding her commitment to press for a quick change in the WNBA and dismissing Shaq's attitude as archaic. They maintained that Reese was correct in demanding more compensation and support for female athletes now rather than later. On the other side, many fans sympathized with Shaq's point of view, realizing that progress takes time and meticulous preparation. These supporters thought Shaq was only being honest about the present situation of the WNBA and the overall sports world, emphasizing Shaq's NBA expertise as a reputable source. The media instantly reported on the confrontation, presenting it as a generational conflict between a young WNBA star and an established NBA great. Headlines heightened the tension, with certain media sites focusing on the opposing viewpoints of youth and experience. Sports pundits chimed in, with some complimenting Reese's fortitude in standing her position, and others agreeing disagreeing with Shaq's measured approach. This media coverage fueled further discussion, with many sports fans and analysts revisiting the subject of how to support the WNBA's expansion best. The topic spread beyond Reese and Shaq, resulting in conversations on social media, sports talk programs, and even other podcasts. Following the encounter, Reese took to social media to express her dissatisfaction with Shaq's attitude and renew her commitment to working for reform in the WNBA. She expressed her admiration for Shaq, but intimated that her vision for the league's future would not be compromised.
Who has a new weekly podcast called Unapologetically Angel. It's part of Playmakers Network of podcasts from Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq, too, replied obliquely, saying in an interview that he appreciated Reese's enthusiasm but adhered to his advice. He remarked that he had seen many young athletes ready for change and hoped that with time they would see the need to lay a good foundation first. The argument between Angel Reese and Shaquille O'Neal provoked even more heated discussion among fans, athletes, and sports analysts. Social media channels were flooded with comments, with some supporters vehemently backing Reese's position. These admirers complimented her for having the fortitude to advocate for women's sports and challenge a system that they believed had traditionally marginalized female athletes. For them, Reese's displeasure mirrored the challenge that many female athletes face while attempting to gain fame and equality in the sporting world. Others, on the other hand, supported Shaq's point of view, claiming that it was based on knowledge and experience. Many pointed out that Shaq had experienced firsthand what it takes to establish a league and was advising Reese with prudence, wanting the WNBA to thrive without taking unnecessary financial or logistical risks. This side of the discussion emphasized that Shaq was not downplaying the value of the WNBA, but rather advocating a long-term road to success. For Angel Reese, the consequences of the trade were substantial. Thanks to her strong demeanor and unvarnished opinions, she became a symbol for young, ambitious athletes pushing limits. Her followers saw her as a pioneer, someone willing to question even the most revered personalities in athletics if it meant standing up for her beliefs. The experience boosted her reputation as a passionate supporter of the WNBA, demonstrating her determination to drive reform regardless of the possible opposition.
On the debut episode, co-host Maya Reese, who is Angel's cousin, asked her to address her feelings about rival Indiana Fever's Caitlin Clark and the Fever's fan base.
However, some detractors started to worry whether Reese's attitude was too abrasive and if her desire to make swift changes would eventually harm her ties within the sports world. While her attitude earned her appreciation from many, it also drew criticism, with some claiming that she might have handled the debate with Shaq more graciously. These detractors argued that Reese's outspokenness, although uplifting, had the potential to alienate supporters in the sports world who might otherwise support her cause. Beyond Reese and Shaq's disagreements, the conversation refocused attention on the WNBA's issues and possible routes ahead. The discussion brought up an important question: how could the WNBA reconcile the need for quick change with the necessity for stability and sustained growth? For others, Reese's eagerness highlighted the pressing need for improved working circumstances, such as more compensation, greater media attention, and sponsorship possibilities. They contended that waiting for gradual development would simply stall justice and equality for women in sports. On the other hand, supporters of Shaq's point of view emphasized the need for the league's financial stability to foster long-term development. They cited the NBA's history, noting that the league's current popularity and infrastructure took decades to develop. These voices argued that a steady, patient approach would eventually provide superior outcomes, including a solid audience and reliable financial sources that may help the WNBA thrive in the long run. What's next for Angel Reese in the WNBA?
Yeah, we haven't had that talk yet, obviously. Everybody can cheer for both of us for one day, so it's just going to be cool. So I'm excited. This is going to be first of many. I know we're going to be all-star teams together.
As Reese began to make headlines in the WNBA, fans anxiously anticipated her next steps, both on and off the court. Would she utilize the Shaq incident to continue advocating for change? Or would she take a more collaborative approach in the future? For Reese, this confrontation was more than simply a one-time occurrence. It was part of her wider journey as a player wanting to make a difference. The future of the WNBA is still being debated, but one thing is certain: personalities like Reese are shaping the discourse. Her voice has raised concerns that go beyond athletics, spurring debates about gender equality, representation, and support for female athletes. Whether the league makes dramatic changes or takes a more cautious approach, Reese's influence is certain to be a driving force for years to come.
And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Angel Reese's outspoken position and high-profile confrontation with Shaquille O'Neal have pushed key concerns concerning women's sports and the WNBA's expansion to the forefront. It serves as a reminder that despite recent success, much more work needs to be done. Reese's path will be widely monitored by fans and players alike as she continues to campaign for the reform she feels the WNBA needs. Thank you for viewing this episode, and remember to press the like button if you liked it. If you want to learn more about Angel Reese's troubles, watch our most recent episode. Angel Reese goes crazy after receiving lifetime suspension by WNBA.
And Angel Reese, she was fired up after the win. She posted this, it's now a deleted comment on social media, but she'd said, quote, "And that's on getting a win in a packed arena, not just because of one player on our charter flights." Skytown.
Angel Reese, previously regarded as one of the most promising young players in women's basketball, has delivered a bombshell after her unexpected departure from the Chicago Sky. What really happened? What caused her firing? And why has this crisis become so explosive that it is rocking the league to its foundation? Stay tuned because we're going to break everything down, exposing the drama, claims, and aftermath of one of the most scandalous scandals in WNBA history. You will want to take advantage of it.
For both of you guys, just what was your perspective and kind of just from where you were on the court? What did you see on that double tech on Angel?
She got ejected. She got 2 techs. She said something to the ref. And so whatever he felt like was the correct call is what he made. It's more about composure for us in our young years in the WNBA. So, you know, gotta get to know refs and how they respond to things.
Angel Reese, a name that once excited basketball fans, was seen as one of the WNBA's next great things. With her exceptional court abilities, unrivaled athleticism, and strong resolve, many thought she was about to take the league by storm. In college, Reese dominated the game, catching the attention of scouts, pundits, and fans. Her WNBA debut was widely anticipated, and the Chicago Sky considered her a vital asset for the future.
We'll give it up to Allen. They're going to give up that shot to her. Reese puts it up. Count the bucket. Body bucket and one for Angel.
She was called a potential cornerstone player for the Sky, poised to usher in a new era of success for the club. Many people anticipated that her battle with Caitlin Clark would become one of the most legendary matchups in women's basketball history. The setting was set for Reese to become a household star and lead her squad to success. However, things took an unexpected dark turn.
Edwards back on board in terms of touches, in terms of decision making, but right there, Reese plucks it away. Carter goes to Reese. Count the bucket and the foul. Momentum right now swings to the Chicago Sky, and it's been their defense that has really made the biggest difference. Their ability to get out into the open.
Reese's first season with the Chicago Sky could have lived up to expectations. Despite glimpses of brilliance on the court, the squad struggled throughout the season, losing more games than it won. A terrible 13-27 record has left fans and observers wondering what went wrong. While some ascribe the team's poor performance to chemistry concerns, others blame the coaching staff for failing to use Reese's skills adequately. Behind the scenes, however, there was much more going on than anybody realized.
You've mentioned it all evening long, though. It's just been so hard for New York to get stops. Chicago again, and one opportunity, Angel Reese. The way Chicago has responded to New York taking the lead.
It shows a lot of grit.
Rumors circulated of a rift between Angel Reese and the head coach, Teresa Weatherspoon. These rumors began as murmurs of arguments and miscommunications, but they quickly developed into something much more. Insiders described a serious cultural conflict between Reese and Weatherspoon, which was becoming hard to ignore.
But regardless of that, I have a tremendous amount of respect for this team and this coaching staff and what they're doing tonight.
That's a great shot. You got Angel Reese, your star rookie.
Then came the bombshell. Angel Reese stated that she felt betrayed by someone she had previously trusted. In an unexpected turn of events, Reese publicly accused Weatherspoon of pushing her too hard and reportedly encouraged her to take dramatic steps to improve her performance. This accusation shook the WNBA world. What precisely were the severe measures? According to accounts, Reese stated that Weatherspoon had a role in her choice to use performance-enhancing chemicals. Let us halt here for a while. If accurate, this claim would drastically change the story of Reese's on-court troubles. Instead of a simple instance of a player underperforming, this was growing up to be a scandal with far-reaching implications. What about the fans? They were speculating wildly.
But yeah, well, once you hear it and you've heard it and you've spoken about it, you move on. You move on from it. And that's what we did as a team. We spoke about it. We did what we had to do as a team to speak about how we conduct ourselves, and we moved on from there. The world kept speaking. You let the world keep speaking, but you have a job to do. And that's to get back between those four lines and get yourselves together to prepare to go back out and compete. And that's what we did.
Reports started to emerge that Angel Reese had tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. The news slammed like a sledgehammer, destroying the image of the rising star who was expected to dominate the league. Reese allegedly resorted to these medications to cope with the increasing strain of playing against players like Caitlin Clark, who had been rewriting the WNBA's record books in her first season. However, why would Reese stoop to such measures? According to some sources, the pressure to remain relevant in a league dominated by stars like Clark drove her to make poor judgments. Reese, who had always flourished on the floor, started to feel overshadowed. Reese found it difficult to stay up, both physically and psychologically, while Clark broke records and signed huge sponsorship agreements.
She's meant everything to me. I mean,
love you, kiddo.
I've had amazing coaches in my career, but this one is like special. She understands with me off the court. She understands me on the court. She believes in me. Shots that I take that she wants me to take, she believes in me that I may not believe in myself. So being able to come to the league and feel at home, being able to be here. I remember sitting on the computer talking to her when I was going through the process of the draft process, and I was like, please, God, let me go to Chicago. Like, please, I don't care where I drop to, let me go to Chicago. Because we know that feeling when you know somebody loves you and believes in you, not just as a basketball player, but as a human being, it's special. And just coming from her, like, I'm away from home. My mom believes that I'm okay away from home. So it's family here, and I just feel I'm blessed to have Coach.
This pressure resulted in one of the most major scandals in WNBA history, Reese's suspected use of performance-enhancing drugs, and even worse, allegations that her coach may have had a role in pushing her down this road. The consequences did not end with Reese. Teresa Weatherspoon, a recognized coach and former player, found herself engaged in the scandal. Weatherspoon had only been with the Chicago Sky for a short time, but her time there was defined by increasing irritation, pressure to turn around a losing season, and eventually a mistake that might have lost both her and Reese their jobs.
She's meant everything to me. I mean,
love you, kiddo.
I've had amazing coaches in my career, but this one is like special. She understands with me off the court. She understands me on the court. She believes in me. Shots that I take that she wants me to take, she believes in me that I may not believe in myself. So being able to come to the league and feel at home, being able to be here. I remember sitting on the computer talking to her when I was going through the process of the draft process, and I was like, please, God, let me go to Chicago. Like, please, I don't care where I drop to, let me go to Chicago. Because we know that feeling when you know somebody loves you and believes in you, not just as a basketball player, but as a human being, it's special. And just coming from her, like, I'm away from home. My mom believes that I'm okay away from home. So it's family here, and I just feel I'm blessed to have Coach.
Weatherspoon's role in the affair became a source of dispute. Did she genuinely push Reese to take performance-enhancing drugs? Or was this just a player making excuses for her own bad choices? Regardless, the charges tarnished Weatherspoon's image, and she was fired as head coach shortly after the story surfaced. The Chicago Sky, trying to restore its reputation and separate itself from the issue, acted quickly. Reese was suspended, awaiting an inquiry into her drug test results, while Weatherspoon was discreetly let let go, but the harm was already done. The crew, once optimistic about the future, was now dealing with a public relations nightmare.
Third quarter, and here's the moment everyone's going to be talking about. This is Caitlin Clark going to the hole, and that's Angel Reese with the foul, hits her in the head. It's a flagrant one. What do we see?
Yeah, Angel Reese, it looks like she's trying to get the block shot. It's frustrating for Chicago fans because Isabel Harrison was right there to make a beautiful play, but Izzy hits her with the body, Angel hits her in the head.
Fans and reviewers were split. Some defended Angel Reese, claiming that the pressure on her was unjustified and that people around her had exploited her. Others regarded her as the villain, someone who had willfully violated the rules and betrayed her teammates. Regardless of whatever side people took, one thing was clear: Reese's career was at significant risk. As with every significant incident in today's society, social media was flooded with comments on the news. Fans, commentators, and even former players weighed in on the matter, expressing their perspectives and opinions. Hashtags like Under Reese Scandal and Weatherspoon Betrayal trended for days as people discussed the scandal's aftermath.
We'll have more thoughts on it in a moment. In the meantime, when this game was being decided, it was Caitlin Clark knocking down big shots. She had 23 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, and here she will find Melissa Smith for the dagger layup. Angel Reese had 11 points, 13 boards, and the Fever get the win. Here they are, the two rivals after the game.
Some said Angel Reese was a victim of circumstance, forced by an unforgiving league that expected perfection from its players. Others said she brought this on herself by succumbing to the temptation of taking shortcuts rather than working harder. The chasm between Reese's supporters and her detractors widened with each passing day. One of the most notable points of comparison during the controversy was Caitlin Clark, who was enjoying a breakthrough season in the WNBA. Clark, who had been seen as one of Reese's main competitors, was prospering as Reese's career deteriorated. Clark had received honors, set records, and emerged as the league's face, all without controversy.
I think so many people are watching women's basketball right now. It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that. Like, it's not just because of one person. A lot of us have done so much for this game, and Kennedy has been here before, obviously, but there are so many great players in this league that have deserved this for a really, really long time, and luckily, it's coming now.
Many admirers perceived Clark as the opposite of Reese: hardworking, talented, and clean. While Clark was being praised as the new face of women's basketball, Reese was at the center of one of the league's greatest drug scandals in history. The difference between the two players could not have been greater, and it only fueled conjecture about Reese's demise. As the inquiry into Reese's positive drug test persisted, her public image deteriorated. Endorsement agreements fell through, supporters turned against her, and her once promising career was dangling by a thread. The media was unrelenting in its coverage of the controversy, with each new revelation creating headlines.
I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that. Like, it's not just because of one person. A lot of us have done so much for this game, and Kennedy has been here before, obviously, but there are so many great players in this league that have deserved this for a really, really long time, and luckily, it's coming now.
Reese's squad, the Chicago Sky, made it obvious that they would be moving on. The message was clear: they couldn't afford to maintain someone who was such a burden. Reese was formally released from the squad, ending her time with the Sky in shame. Following her termination, Angel Reese finally came up, throwing a bombshell of her own. In a poignant interview, Reese denied using performance-enhancing drugs. She stated that she was pushed to her breaking point by the league, her coach, and the media.
Now look, let's get to the WNBA, where Chicago Sky rookie forward Angel Reese was ejected from the game last night against the New York Liberty after drawing consecutive technical fouls. The ejection happened after Reese was called for her 5th foul and was, quote, disrespectfully addressing, end quote, official Charles Watson. Angel Reese is a rising star in the WNBA, drafted 7th overall by the Sky 2 months ago. On Monday, Reese addressed the media following that controversial technical foul on her teammate, Kennedy Carter, who shoved Caitlin Clark, a move that drew national headlines. Reese made it clear that fans are watching women's basketball not because of, quote, one player, but because of her as well. Today, the WNBA rescinded the second technical upon further review, according to a league source, which does not mean much at this point in my estimation. Let me tell y'all why I'm bringing this up.
Reese portrayed an image of a young athlete who was overwhelmed by the demands put on her and who had been taken advantage of by her peers. She acknowledged that she had made errors, but she asserted that she had never planned to cheat. This interview created a fresh round of controversy. Some fans sympathized with Reese, considering her a victim of the harsh realities of professional athletics. Others weren't persuaded, feeling Reese was only attempting to save what remained of her career.
Over the last few days, the Caitlin Clark situation where Kennedy Carter side hipped her, basically checked her with a, side hip move and whatever, knocking her to the ground. And it was national news because Caitlin Clark has been taking quote unquote abuse since she's arrived in the WNBA. That kind of story gained national attention. It was something that was debated on my day job, First Take, on ESPN every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to noon. And in the process of talking about that particular subject, one of the things that I highlighted was that Caitlin Clark's the golden goose. She happens to be a terrific talent who's white and very, very marketable. The combination of the two things make her the golden goose for the WNBA. Go after her, compete with her, get the better of her at every turn. Nobody's questioning that you can't go after her. But what I was saying was, although whether it's jealousy, envy, resentment, it's all justifiable because there were people that were pounding the pavement and going through so much to help elevate the WNBA's profile long before Caitlin Clark ever came along, and yet were denied that level of recognition and that level of appreciation.
Angel Reese's future in the WNBA remains unknown. While she has been sacked from the Chicago Sky, it is possible that she may return to the league depending on the conclusion of the inquiry. However, even if she is acquitted, her reputation may be irreversibly ruined. Many have speculated whether Reese would attempt to make a return or if she will completely retire from basketball. Regardless of what happens next, this incident will be a watershed point in her career, perhaps following her for the rest of her life. The Angel Reese affair teaches us many valuable lessons. For starters, it emphasizes the enormous pressure put on professional athletes to perform at the greatest level, frequently at the risk of their mental and physical well-being. For example, the WNBA.
Angel Reese was older. I would have gotten on her about what she just said. Because I would have been like, how naive can you be? But she is young. She's only 22. And the reality is the scrutiny that she's been subjected to is inexcusable, it's egregious, it's disgusting, it's wrong, and there's a bunch of punk, no good, you know what's out there on the male and female side who are abusive because they're really, really good at being that way when they're behind keyboards and away from cameras and out of the spotlight where people know exactly who the hell they are. The only reason that I brought up the first part about Angel Reese is this. Caitlin Clark is box office. She is a star. And Angel Reese is to be completely believed that there's no hate. They both get along. They're cool with each other. They're high-end competitors, etc., etc. But you've known they were coming for you when you were waving your hands in your face to mock Caitlin Clark when you were beating her for the national championship.
Many professional sports leagues are competitive environments, and the pressure to achieve may lead athletes to make poor judgments. Furthermore, the controversy has raised serious concerns regarding the role of coaches and team administration in an athlete's career. Teresa Weatherspoon's apparent participation in Reese's collapse has shed light on the power that coaches may have, for better or ill.
I don't really get to stand up for myself. I mean, I have great teammates. I have a great support system. I got my hometown. I got my family that stands up for me. I don't really get to speak out on things just because I just try to ignore, and I just try to stand strong. Like, I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times. Death threats. I've been sexualized. I've been threatened. I've been so many things, and I've stood strong every single time. And I just try to stand strong for my teammates because I don't want them to see me down and like not be there for them. So I just want to always just know like I'm still a human. Like,
the WNBA has grown in popularity in recent years, due in part to the success of players like Caitlin Clark and A'ja Wilson. However, the Angel Reese incident has put doubt on the league's integrity. While the league will certainly survive this scandal, it serves as a reminder that no professional sports league is free of trouble. The WNBA will have to work hard to rehabilitate its image in the aftermath of this controversy, and it will most likely need to examine the expectations imposed on its players carefully. As fans, we hope that this tragedy will result in beneficial reforms to the league, ensuring that players get greater assistance both on and off the court. Angel Reese's career, once full of promise and possibility, is now hanging in the balance. The young athlete, long seen as the WNBA's future, is now at a crossroads. Whether she recovers from this controversy remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: this narrative is far from done.
all this has happened since I won the national championship, and I said the other day I haven't had peace since then. And it sucks, but I still wouldn't change. I wouldn't change anything, and I would still sit here and say, like, I'm unapologetically me. I'm going to always leave that mark and be who I am and stand on that. And hopefully the little girls that look up to me, and hopefully I give them some type of inspiration that, hopefully it's not this hard and all the things that come at you, but keep being who you are, keep waking up every day, keep being motivated, staying who you are, staying 10 toes, don't back down, and just be confident.
We will keep you posted on any developments in this scenario as they occur. In the meantime, we'd like to hear your opinions. Do you believe Angel Reese deserves another chance? Should she be permitted to rejoin the league, or has her career come to an end? Please let us know in the comments below. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell to stay up to date. Check out our earlier video on the current WNBA scandal. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Sid and I love talking to all of you, but it's gonna be nice to not have to sit in front of a microphone, multiple times a week. I really appreciate all of you, but it will be nice to kind of get away and relax for a little bit. And I appreciate everything you all do as well, so I thank you.
Caitlin Clark, the WNBA three-pointer and Rookie of the Year, has turned heads and changed expectations. Well, she is making headlines again for her unexpected decision to accept a new deal in Europe, which has left ESPN reeling. This got fans talking. So, what does this mean for both the WNBA and Clark's career? Why would a player who has single-handedly lifted the league choose to go to Europe? And why is ESPN behaving as if it had any influence over her decision?
Had an open look from three, didn't take it. Only 3 to shoot. Gonna have to make something happen. Clark through the lane, reverses it in, and beats the shot clock.
Like Caitlin had an opportunity to take the shot, instead drives in, and good job here after the travel to turn her back and show.
Caitlin Clark's professional basketball career has been nothing short of a marvel. As one of the WNBA's brightest stars, she brought unrivaled excitement to the floor, not just with her incredible scoring skills, but also with her personality and tenacity. Clark's style of play grabbed people, increasing WNBA viewership and game attendance. Lately, the sports world has been stunned by an unexpected announcement. Caitlin Clark has signed a new deal to play in Europe. ESPN, which had been constantly following her every move, was caught off guard by the revelation.
Go ahead and look. Everywhere you turn, Indiana Fever is breaking records. All Cheryl Swoops did was validate all the speculation that there's folks hating on Caitlin Clark. That's all she did. Because to know basketball like Cheryl Swoops does, to be as accomplished as she is, to be the Hall of Famer that she is, all accolades that are well-deserved. And I'm certainly not attacking Cheryl Swoops the person, because I think she's a wonderful person. How do you talk about the Indiana Fever and mention a multitude of players, and not one of them is Caitlin Clark, who, by the way, as a rookie, is leading the league in assists? How do you do that? I told y'all that. I've argued with the great Andrea Carter, outstanding analyst for ESPN, right here on this podcast. I've argued with Janae Ogumake, who's an outstanding basketball analyst, and Monica McNutt, one of the preeminent voices of the New York Knicks, and what she's doing with her career. They know they got my support, all love. But I'm waiting for you to say I was right. Caitlin Clark can ball. She should have been on Team USA.
Clark is taking her skills abroad as they try to recover their footing, which has raised eyebrows and worries across the basketball world. Why did she choose this route, and what does it represent for the future of the WNBA? This transition in her career not only emphasizes her importance as a player, but also sheds attention on the WNBA's flaws that resulted in this unanticipated reversal. Here, we look at the reasons behind Clark's decision, ESPN's response, and what it means for the basketball world on both sides of the Atlantic.
Like we talked about in our locker room after the game ended, where obviously people were pretty disappointed in the outcome. I think it gave us a taste of where we wanted to be. At the same time, I felt like we could have done a little bit more to help it get back here for a game 3, and that's what really kind of stunk about the whole thing. But I thought it gave us a taste of where we wanted to be, and that's exactly the message that Chrissy iterated throughout the locker room, and that our coaches kind of iterated when they talked, is just that, you know, you have to let this kind of burn inside of you and let it kind of bother you in a way that it's going to drive you through the offseason.
Caitlin Clark's decision to leave the WNBA and pursue a new deal in Europe was not taken lightly. This choice represents her perception of her importance as a player, as well as the constraints she encountered while playing in the WNBA. Clark has been a star performer in the league her whole career. From game-changing moves to leading her club in scoring, she was widely seen as the key that held the league's popularity together. Her energetic performing style injected much-needed energy into the games, making her a fan favorite. Despite her accomplishments, Clark appeared to believe that the league should have recognized her full significance.
It feels like that's always kind of how your season ends. You feel like you're playing your best basketball, and then it has to come to an end, and it's kind of just who's playing better basketball at that time and who plays a better game. But I think for myself is just, you know, go back and really reflect on the year that you had and all the amazing moments. But I think, you know, just as a point guard and as a leader, there's a lot of areas that I can continue to improve. And you know, I'm a competitor and somebody that loves to work, so it won't be hard for me to want to get in the gym and to get even better and, you know, get better for my teammates and really know, you know, we're a young group. We have a lot of really talented players on this team, and, you know, we won 20 games this year and we're the 6th seed, but I feel like there's so much more we can accomplish, and, you know, you can always just work for that and remind yourself of that, and that's certainly what I'm going to do going into the offseason.
Unlike many other players, Clark made it obvious that she would not accept being undervalued or underpaid. As she considered her alternatives, it became clear that being in a league that failed to protect and support her was not in her best interests. According to reports, she was dissatisfied with the aggressive physical defense she regularly encountered, as well as the lack of reaction from league officials and referees. This prompted her to make a risky move. She left the WNBA and traveled to Europe, where she thought her abilities would be better accepted and respected.
Of culture and sport and fashion and music, like the WNBA players are really looked at now as kind of cultural icons.
True.
And when you have that, you have a lot of attention on you. There's no more apathy. Everybody cares. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another. So the social media is different today than it was in 1979 when it didn't exist.
The WNBA's toughness has always been part of its allure, allowing viewers to see the competitive grit and resolve of the top female basketball players. However, Caitlin Clark felt that this physicality went too far. Clark publicly criticized the league for not doing more to safeguard its most prominent players, including herself. Throughout her WNBA career, she repeatedly expressed her dissatisfaction with officials who tolerated extremely aggressive play against her, which bordered on hazards.
It's like everybody's always watching your every move, no matter what you're doing. And I feel like the best thing that I've tried to live by is like to just be the same person that I am off the court, whether I'm, you know, leaving my apartment every single day or whether I'm here sitting in front of all of you. I've tried to approach it in the same exact manner that I can and treat everybody with the same amount of respect that I can. And to try to build really good relationships with people. And obviously some days are going to be tougher than others and some days are going to be amazing. That's just life. And I would give my parents a lot of credit. I feel like I was raised in a way of like, you want to treat every single person with respect. And I feel like I have a very good feel on, you know, basketball isn't my everything. And that's the way I was raised. You know, basketball was something I absolutely loved to do, but there was a lot of other things I had to have done in my life, whether it was school, whether it was, you know, emptying the dishwasher or taking out the trash. I had chores, it stunk. And I think there was just things that my parents really invested in making sure that I was a good person before, you know, basketball or sports. And I've just tried to live in that same exact manner as like, just be a good human.
In many interviews, Clark expressed that she felt she was getting hammered on the court, with officials turning a blind eye to infractions that would normally be penalized in other leagues. The authorities' forbearance placed Clark in a dangerous situation. As one of the league's best players, she believed she deserved better treatment. The WNBA's inability to assure her safety on the court influenced her choice to pursue possibilities abroad, where she could concentrate on playing the game without fear of harm.
And I think that's what I've tried to, you know, show everybody as well, is like I try to be the best human I can every day. I try to give people time if I have it, you know, and it can be hard because there are moments where you don't always want to like pose for a picture. You just want to go and get your sandwich and eat your lunch. And but I feel very thankful. I wouldn't change anything for the world. I feel very thankful for the relationships I built, the opportunities that I've had, the way people have supported me, and whether it was at Iowa or whether it's now in the WNBA, they have really, you know, supported me and loved watching me play basketball and watching my teams play basketball. So I think it'll definitely be a little bit of an adjustment period for myself, not really, you know, having to do that so much. Like I woke up yesterday and I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna really do. So it's gonna be nice though. I think getting out of the spotlight and just getting to live my life and do things that I wanna do, and, you know, not have to sit and I like love talking to all of you, but it's gonna be nice to not have to sit in front of a microphone, you know, multiple times a week. I really appreciate all of you, but it will be nice to kind of get away and relax for a little bit. And I appreciate everything you all do as well, so I thank you.
Clark's emotional and physical health suffered as a result of her lack of protection. Every uncalled foul and lost chance for justice on the court appeared to erode her excitement for participating in the league. Clark understood that the WNBA was unwilling to take the required actions to protect its most important assets, so she decided to pursue a new route in her basketball career. When Caitlin Clark revealed her choice to play in Europe, ESPN reacted quickly but rather hastily. Clark's surprise departure took the major sports network off guard, since they had committed substantial airtime to chronicling her development in the WNBA. For months, ESPN touted her as the WNBA's future, a star around whom the league could develop its brand. Her departure to Europe was not just a setback for the league, but also a blow to ESPN's narrative.
Our schedule wasn't the friendliest to start, so it was a tough swing. We had a West Coast trip there early to start. And to be honest, there was a few games I felt we could have definitely won within that stretch as well. And that's what kind of bugged me the most. But I remember saying, I think, maybe after game 4, maybe game 5 is like, you know, these lessons are really going to pay off for us in the end when we get down the stretch. And I think they certainly did. I think those were moments where we really built confidence. We got, you know, we were in situations that were tough. We became more resilient. You know, it didn't always go our way, but it helped us become more resilient in the end. And I think, like I've said, I really admire this group, whether it was the coaching staff or whether it was my teammates. Every single day they showed up with a positive attitude. They showed up with the same exact energy. They just wanted to get better. They wanted to help us find a way to win.
The network rapidly altered gears, seeking to portray Clark's departure as a surprising revelation while regaining control of the story. Pundits questioned if the WNBA could survive without its top player and speculated about the league's future. However, many fans saw through ESPN's attempts, pointing out that their newfound concern was hollow. After all, where was this degree of attention when Clark spoke about the league's shortcomings? Despite the network's efforts to portray the move as unexpected, it became clear that ESPN had little influence on Clark's choice. Her decision to quit the WNBA was about taking control of her career and finding a place where she felt respected rather than being limited by a league and network that did not fully recognize her potential.
She's possessed. Here comes Clark. How will she go for history? The all-time leading scorer in women's college
Caitlin Clark's career in the WNBA was defined by outstanding performances that made her a must-see talent. In her last game with the Indiana Fever, she scored an astounding 29 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds, demonstrating her ability to dominate the floor even while her teammates struggled. Throughout the season, she regularly carried her team, attracting spectators to games with her energetic performance.
And those are the people that you want to be around every single day, so I feel very lucky to have coaches that gave so much, not only to myself but also to my teammates, and teammates that, you know, not only pushed me to be better, but were also a shoulder to lean on when things were tough, and they made all that a lot easier for myself.
Her presence had a noticeable effect on the league's popularity. Before Clark joined the Indiana Fever, the club struggled to attract large audiences, with average attendance averaging around 3,000 each game. However, with Clark in the lineup, that figure increased to an average of 177,000 people each game, leading the WNBA in attendance. Clark was more than simply a player. She was a sensation who drew fresh attention to women's basketball.
I don't think people always realize the University of Iowa was one of the premier universities in Title IX. Dr. Grant was obviously somebody that was very close to my coach, and Coach Bluter was the one that hired her at Iowa, and she wanted women to have as many opportunities as men. And if it wasn't for her and it wasn't for the way she fought for women's athletics, I'm not sure I would have had that opportunity at Iowa, and I'm not sure, you know, people would have showed up for the women's basketball program in the manner that they did every single night.
Off the court, her impact was as strong. She outsold WNBA icons like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi in jersey sales, demonstrating that she was a huge attraction for both new and longtime fans. Clark's star power was evident, and her ability to attract fans to the WNBA provided the potential for the league to grow in reach and impact. However, rather than capitalizing on their newfound momentum, the WNBA seemed to let the chance slip away, a mistake that would come back to haunt them. Caitlin Clark's relationship with the WNBA deteriorated after a contentious event known as the I Pinson incident. This incident, which included a particularly hard and uncalled foul, should have been a watershed moment in the league's efforts to safeguard its top players. Instead, the WNBA responded by downplaying the event as if it were simply another aspect of the game. This served as a wake-up call for Clark, who saw the league was unwilling to address the same problems that were pushing her away.
But, you know, I always tell the players, you know, I was told a long time ago, if someone's typing something in and you wouldn't ask their advice, ignore it. So it's a balance, but certainly from a marketing dollars, but corporate partners are stepping up to endorse these players much more so than they were 5 years ago, because they see the benefit of having women and diverse women representing their brand.
I agree. Rivalries are good. Manning and Brady, the prime one among them. If the economy turns sour, how does it affect your business?
Yeah, in sports, a lot of the corporate partnership dollars are discretionary dollars. That's why it's important to lock in and do scenario planning around locking into longer-term deals, whether it's a media deal like we just locked in for 11 years. Having that revenue stream fixed for at least that period of time is good in every economic outcome.
The WNBA's lack of response in the aftermath of the event left Clark feeling insecure and underappreciated. It was a moment that demonstrated the league's refusal to adjust its strategy despite obvious proof that its most marketable star was being treated unjustly. Clark knew that if the league didn't stand up for her, she'd have to find another road where her abilities and well-being were recognized.
People don't realize the women's basketball program at Iowa had so many fans before I got there, and then they continued to rally around our teams and celebrate our teams, and they just loved women's basketball and the way it was played and the people on the court. And I think a lot of that has definitely carried over to the WNBA, and now you're seeing it here in Indianapolis with the way our fans have supported and really just been in the stands every single night. You know, Gainbridge has been, you know, packed to the brim. People can't seem to get enough, whether it's a Wednesday in August or whether it's on the weekend in July. Like, people love showing up and watching, and then they find out, you know, they love people on my team. They fall in love with another team and players on a different team.
Caitlin Clark's choice to depart for Europe left both ESPN and the WNBA coping with the reality of squandered opportunities. Her departure left a vast hole that neither entity could readily replace. ESPN had extensively invested in positioning her as the next major star of women's basketball, but now they had to deal with the ramifications of her absence. The WNBA too was forced to cope with the consequences of losing a player who had become the league's face. Clark's departure was more than simply a drop in viewership or item sales. It reflected a larger failure to recognize and promote one of their most promising talents. Instead of acknowledging the need for change, the league and its partners remained complacent, assuming Clark's dedication to the sport would keep her in the WNBA. But Clark had other ideas, and she was not going to let the league's delay define her destiny.
If you watched yesterday's game, DeWanna Bonner and Caitlin Clark got into it, but guess what? Caitlin had kind of the last laugh in the sense that she still balled out and DeWanna got the win, so it was a win-win scenario. But if we say that the game is what that interaction is, that is false. The game is that it was an amazing game down to the wire where the Indiana Fever had a chance to win, but Connecticut Sun advances to conference semis like they've done so many years in the WNBA.
Clark departs for Europe, leaving behind a WNBA that is still struggling to rebrand itself. Without her, the league will have to find new methods to attract fans and stay relevant in the congested sports world. ESPN too is left without one of its most fascinating tales, having to play catch-up as Clark embarks on a new chapter in her career. Caitlin Clark's decision to sign a new contract in Europe is a key turning point in her career. It's a decision that has sent shockwaves across the basketball world, forcing ESPN and the WNBA to face the implications of their actions or inaction. Clark sees this as an opportunity.
It's just continuing to help grow this game, and I think, you know, the opportunities that I had at Iowa certainly helped move forward the game of basketball, but also has helped me in the WNBA too.
Focus on her development as a player rather than on the limits and difficulties she had in the WNBA. While her departure creates a vacuum in American women's basketball, it also reminds us of the need for change. If the WNBA wants to keep its best players in the future, it must learn from this experience and understand the value of supporting and safeguarding them. Caitlin Clark's path has always been about breaking down boundaries, and her relocation to Europe is only another chapter in that tale. As admirers, we can only wait and see what she does next.
And then honestly, you know, playing at home in front of, you know, these fans in the way the young girls just, you know, dangle over the side of the rails and are so happy and people are crying and you understand the impact that you're having on people's lives, and that's what's so cool about it for myself. But I feel like there's just so many memories you're going to remember from your rookie year. Like your rookie year is something you're always going to cherish as you go throughout your career. I think it was a huge learning opportunity for myself. I learned a lot about myself as a basketball player, as a person, being resilient when your back's against the wall, but also really coming into our own and really thriving. And I think, you know, once we figured it out, it was a lot of fun.
Caitlin Clark deserves a league that recognizes her achievements on and off the court. With her new deal in Europe, she is eager to demonstrate that her abilities can shine wherever and possibly serve as a reminder to the WNBA of what they have lost. Remember to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Boo Boo Dose News, for more updates on this great voyage and the latest in sports.